the 7 steps I just mentioned to increase your emotional IQ. It's called the back at that situation, think about as many details as you can, and may be characterized by physical or mental activity. Many situations could have been avoided if an individual. Peace, love, and blessings, fam. If this is your first time seeing me, Johnny Sally, Loyalty Life Legacy. I come to you today to speak to you about emotional IQ, which is also called emotional leadership, emotional quotient, or emotional intelligence. Now, this is the capacity to be aware of, control, and or express one's emotions to handle interpersonal relationships or communication between people. Now, this phrase, emotional IQ, was coined by Michael Beldock in 1964, but made popular by another author and science journalist, Daniel Goleman, in 1995. This is the ability to be able to recognize your own emotions and others, discern the difference between those feelings, and properly label them to direct and guide your thinking. Now, this also gives you the ability to manage behaviors and adjust your emotional response to accept different environments or achieve a set goal. Here are the 7 steps I just mentioned to increase your emotional IQ. It's called the cycle of reflection. Now, it begins where you choose an incident or a situation to review. Next, you move on to identifying your feelings in connection with the situation or incident. You ask yourself questions such as, did your feelings affect the outcome? How? Next, you compare proaction versus reaction. Again, you compare by weighing the pros and cons of different responses, and you move on to plan of action. Now, I'll go into further detail so you have a better understanding of the cycle of reflection. There are 7 components of emotional IQ: self-awareness, integrity, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills, and perception. Now, self-awareness is conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. Integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Self-regulation is the ability to regulate or control oneself without intervention from external sources or guidance. Motivation is the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings and emotions of another. Social skills are any competence facilitating interaction and communication with others, where social rules and relations are created, communicated, and changed. Now, most often those rules are changed either verbally and sometimes non-verbally. And finally, perception, which is a way of understanding or interpreting something. Now, studies show that individuals that have learned to master this within themselves have a higher emotional intelligence quotient. Now, there are 7 steps that I'm going to give you to increase your emotional IQ. Now let's walk through the cycle of reflection. Step 1, choose an incident or situation to reflect upon. That means to look back at that situation, think about as many details as you can. It also helps if you write them down. Step 2, identify your emotions during the incident or situation. How did you feel? Why did you feel that way? What was done to make you feel that way? Step 3, do you believe your immediate feelings affected the outcome of that situation or incident? Why do you believe your feelings affected it? Step 4, how did your response, based on your feelings at the time, affect the outcome? Step 5, proaction versus reaction. Proaction is defined as an act that one consciously wills and may be characterized by physical or mental activity. It is also an action that initiates change. It's like it builds up something inside of you once you really delve deeper into yourself through introspection that makes you want to change. You begin to see your faults in a new light. It doesn't make you a negative or a bad person, but you realize you can be better. Now, proaction is the opposite of reaction, which is an immediate reaction in response to a situation or event. We want to get to a point of proaction to where we're thinking before we respond and not just reacting. So many situations could have been avoided if an individual only took a deep breath, stepped away, and thought about it before they reacted while they were in an emotional state. All right, next is step 6, which is pros versus cons. This is weighing the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is what you usually do in the heat of the moment, and responding is actually thinking about it before you dive into that pool of calamity. If you did or said blank instead of what you did initially, what might have happened? What would have been the possible outcome if you just thought before you reacted to the situation, event, or individual? What could you, because at the end of the day, it is only you that can control you. And by learning to control you, you actually learn to control the situation. What could you have done differently? Now, this is where it gets intense. You should list all the possibilities of what could have been done. Now, don't be ashamed to say that you should have walked away. Because a lot of times, if you're arguing with a brick wall, that's the best thing to do. Walk away. Step 7, develop a plan of action. How should you respond in the future? Based off of all the possibilities that could be listed, if a situation arises again with the same individual or the same type of event, how can you now, knowing what you know, move forward? Now, you can actually go take a free emotional IQ test at https://www.ihhp.com/free-EQ-quiz. Now, if you're wondering what I got, self-awareness, 8. Self-regulation or self-management, 8. Social skills, social awareness, 10. Plan of action, relationship management, 8. So, does that mean I still have a lot to work on? Of course. You can always better yourself daily. There should never be a day that you don't learn something. We should mold ourselves like children to be like sponges to where we absorb and absorb and absorb. Then you do the 3 R's, which are receive, retain, and release. Receive the information. Take it in. Take it to heart, no matter what it is. And when I say take it to heart, don't take it emotionally. Take it into you to become a part of you, to revolve it around in your brain continually. Retain what is necessary. Retain what is beneficial of that. The rest, release it. If it's negative, if it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't apply to you, release it. Don't get emotional. Don't get worked up about it. Don't get yourself frustrated and flustered. Also, release plays 2 different ways. You can also release the positive information you took to someone else who may need it. Now, what we're going to do next is I'm going to go into what you should be able to learn from practicing these steps in order to increase your emotional IQ. Now, some things you can practice that will help you to progress through this a little faster. Got 11 steps right here, or things that you can work on. Positively accept criticism. Learn to use it as feedback to better your personal growth. Don't get offended. Don't take everything so personal. Learn to take that criticism and utilize it as feedback, again, to work on you. Take it down, take a mental note. You don't even have to respond even if it's said to you negatively. Go ahead and absorb it. Hey, got you. You're right. 2, freely admit to making mistakes. It does not make you a bad person to just say, I did it. My bad. I'm sorry. I was wrong. It was my fault. I heard a phrase the other day. I think it was Nas on his Lost Tapes 2. And he spoke on it being mature to accept responsibility for another individual's doings, even when you know you're not in the wrong. 3, stay calm under pressure. Best way to do that, take a deep breath. Sometimes I have my young ancestors to actually hold their breath. When they're getting worked up, tell them take 2 or 3 quick little breaths and then make them hold it. And they hold it. And they hold it. And once you release it, it's almost as if your body just blew out that negative energy. You have to force it out. Get it away from you. Now, listen to another individual's perspective fully without interrupting or prejudging based on preconceived views. Now, I know myself, I have to work on that one because I have a tendency sometimes to be so engaged, I tend to just respond as an individual speaks. Yeah, okay, cool, And sometimes that can also lead to the individual feeling like you're going to interrupt them or you actually interrupting them. So yeah, I raised my hand on that one and freely admit to making that mistake. I do that. Now, listening to the other individual's perspective fully also plays back to 1, accepting criticism. Now, learn that setbacks are not failures. A setback is nothing more than you learning a way not to do something. You learning a way that did not work. So all you do is push forward, keep on striving, and you'll figure out a way. I always had the mentality that if there's no answer or solution, then there was never a problem to begin with. Some will say, well, no, that can't be, but it makes me think about school when they'd have you work that long problem, and then the answer is no solution, right? Now, state or speak your view without anger or aggression. That goes back to staying calm under pressure. Take deep breaths. Sometimes if you have to, close your eyes. Bring your tone down and learn to just speak and not throw your words at an individual. It makes a major difference. My homeboy KD said, in all the years of telling an individual to calm down, they have never calmed down. So, number 7, this will help you learn to manage fear, anger, stress, and anxiety, especially when it is directly connected to a goal. Some of us have this innate ability to sabotage ourselves in every aspect. We can be right at the finish line and for whatever reason feel like, oh, look, I gotta pick up that quarter. Like you can't just cross the red tape, the finish line, and come back and get it. I think it's just the way we've been programmed by so many things that we do. We've learned to accept the possibility of failing more so than the possibility of succeeding. Now, recognize and admit how your behavior affects others. Everything that we do can affect somebody. If I was to yell and scream and holler right now and somebody came in only on this part of the video, they would walk out and say, I'd never listen to that dude again. But if I get you turned up, if I get you amped up and let you know that you are awesome, you are wonderful, and they walk in, hey, they might want to go and jump on YouTube right now. And you can follow me at YouTube at loyaltyLifelegacy.com. LOYALTYLYFELEGACY. And I said .com. Loyalty Life Legacy. You know what I meant. I should have said what I meant, huh? Now, 9. Put yourself in other shoes. Always seek multiple perspectives. You learn so much more in life when you are able to look at things from multiple different views. That goes back to requisite variance. The individual that is the most flexible is the individual that is most likely in control. That individual also probably has a very high emotional IQ because they have learned how to control themselves to be able to respond instead of react to an individual to get the desired outcome. It's almost like Inception, where sometimes you ever had a conversation with an individual that always had to be right. So you'll plan an idea in their mind only for them to come around and say, yeah, what I think is, and they say exactly what you said. Now, 10 and 11, keep a sense of humor and stay positive. My boy DeLorean got a song called Positive. And the chorus goes, positive, positive, stay positive. Every time that check come in, gotta deposit it. Yep, go check it out. Now, for a more detailed free EQ test, 40 questions, might want to get a pen, pause it if you need to, or I'd say screenshot it. https://globalleadershipfoundation.com/GEIT/EI test.html. Again, I'm glad I could walk through this with you guys to enlighten you on emotional IQ and the cycle of reflection, which can help you increase your emotional IQ. Again, my name is Johnny Sally with Loyalty Life Legacy. You can go check out our webpage at www.loyaltylifelegacy.com, or you can just go to loyaltylifelegacy.com. We have We Are the New Ancestors shirts, and if you're watching this, you are a new ancestor. It is up to you to learn how to operate in the fashion that best allows you to help build the construct of what we want this world to be. We can have heaven on earth right now. Also, go and follow me, if you're not already following me, at Johnny Sally Jr. That's Johnny, the underline, Sally, another underline, Jr. I never knew what that thing was called. Somebody will probably tell me after this and write it in the comments. Or at Loyalty Life Legacy on Instagram, all one word. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I appreciate your time. Peace.